So it is just about 12 o'clock here in the West Coast. I'd like to thank everyone for calling in to this ACE and Trades Crafts webinar. We are really excited to have you. We got a great RSVP. I think we were over 70 RSVPs, and that was steadily growing leading up to this webinar. So we know a lot of folks are calling in from all over the country, affiliate leaders, mentors, and ACE supporters who are interested in this topic. The idea of this webinar came about a few months ago. Jason Roberts, an affiliate leader from the Dallas ACE affiliate, contacted myself, Andrew Frankel, and my colleague Monica Warhide. We are both regional directors for the Western U.S. and the Midwest region, the Central region, I should say. He had been in attendance a couple years ago in Chicago at the All Affiliates meeting at Matt Barnard's presentation on the Trades Day event in Los Angeles, which has been very popular. It's grown to 4 different events throughout the year, and they've gotten great attendance. He wanted to get more information from Matt and from us about how Matt had put that Trades Day together. So in our effort to get information for Jason, we kind of put our heads together and realized that this is a topic that a lot of affiliates ask about and struggle with, quite frankly, to incorporate the building trades and crafts into the regular ACE program. So we decided, in addition to getting back to Jason and connecting him to Matt and also Mike Tecci from Boston, who started a similar Trades Day in the Boston affiliate, that we would put this webinar together. We'd reach out to our affiliates and kind of look at some different models of how affiliates have engaged the trades in their own way to success. So that's how the idea of this webinar came about. This is part of a bigger effort from ACE National to have more best practice sharing. When we did that All Affiliates conference a few years ago in Chicago, we did an exit poll for all attendees, and the number one aspect of that event in Chicago that had the highest rating was the affiliate fair that we put together, which was basically a physical version of what we're doing now. We gave affiliates opportunities to, in sort of science fair style, show off a successful activity that worked really well at their affiliate. And that was the thing that attendees said that they got the most out of and wanted to see more of. So this is part of that effort to share more best practices. You know, this is the first of several webinars, and we're certainly open to your ideas as affiliates of what topics you'd like us to cover. We really think there's just a wealth of information out there that we can do more to tap into and share. So we're very excited to have you here today. A couple housekeeping items. If you called in as a participant, in other words, if you're not a presenter, you are muted. I'm sorry to tell you. So if you talk and ask a question or have a comment, unfortunately, we won't be able to hear you. That's just to cut down on the background noise. Although if you scroll your mouse down to the bottom of the screen on Zoom, you'll see to the very right of the icons down there, there's a chat function. If you message to everyone, we will log any questions you have, and we'll try to get to them if time allows at the end of this webinar. If not, we'll log those questions and submit typed responses to you. We'll make that available on the ACE website, along with a recording of this webinar and the PowerPoint presentation that goes along with it. So it is a silent participation webinar here. Also, if you are interested to follow up with any of our presenters, their email addresses are available on the index page of each of their presentations, as well at the end of the PowerPoint presentation. And we'll leave that screen up at the end for a little while to give you enough time to record any email address you'd like. You can also follow up with your regional director to get more information about any particular presentation. We have a really packed schedule today, some really exciting presentations. Aaron Sibley will be from ACE Atlanta. Will be talking about how they've organized some unique field trips to different trade organizations and facilities. Joe Connor and Bob DeFiore from Central Pennsylvania will talk about how they've developed a trade track team. It's an actual trades craft team that they developed in Central Pennsylvania for students that are interested in going into that career path. And then Matt Barnard and Mike Tecci will be talking about the Trades Day referenced earlier in Los Angeles, and then a newer addition to the Trades Day family in Boston that Mike developed also as a result of being at Matt Barnard's presentation. And then finally, Matt Snope from Chicago will talk about the really dynamic summer program that they've developed in Chicago that involves the trades along with the other aspects of the ACE program. So I'd actually like to turn it over to ACE CEO and President Jack Calavatrinos, who'd like to address you very quickly before we move on to our presenters.
Thank you, Andrew, so much. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you, Jack Tipton, and your other regional director colleagues for putting this together in advance. Thank you to our speakers, our affiliate leaders, and incredible volunteers from around the country, as well as our board member, Joan, who you'll be hearing from next. I just wanted to say and reiterate one thing that Andrew said, that this is really the first of many webinars that you're going to be seeing coming from ACE. It's part of our strategic plan nationally that our executive committee approved to do more of sharing of best practices and not wait until the next all affiliates meeting, which I understand occurred in 2014 and was great. But we want to be able to do more things like this, and to have 70 participants on this call is really fantastic. We're so fortunate to have affiliates that do so much to enrich ACE students' lives, their lives within the ACE programs, and then their lives after ACE through doing things like giving advice, helping with scholarships, and helping with internships and future jobs. One way that affiliates do this, I've come to learn in my year and a half or so at ACE, is to expose students to as many professions as possible that come under the overall umbrella of construction. So whether if it's an architect-based team, make sure that they're engineers and subcontractors. If it's an engineering-based entity, then make sure that we're really being broad in terms of the types of professions that the kids are being exposed to. And frankly, that should also include, where it's possible, crafts and trades professions. As I heard recently at an affiliate board meeting, it's so important for students. Most of our students are college-bound students, to really understand, what are all the different pieces of the pie that make up construction, and to have respect and understanding for all of the many professions that are needed to build a bridge or a building or any kind of project. Wanted to highlight that we are nonpartisan when it comes to union, non-union issues. We have great partnerships with our companies and contractors, subcontractors, with groups like ABC, AGC, trade unions like the Masonry Institute, and educational institutions. We've also had several talks with NCCER and talking about how we can better expose our students to their Build Your Future materials as well. The next webinar is going to be on STEM Premier. It's something we had set up, but for logistical reasons had to postpone, and it's really a great effort at helping our ACE students become stronger and become more attractive to higher educational institutions as well as future employers. So want to turn back to Andrew, and I'm not sure, or do I turn it to our wonderful executive committee member, Joan Calambokidis, who is president of the International Masonry Institute, to speak to us now.
Great, Jack. Thanks very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I've had the pleasure of serving on the board of the ACE Mentor Program since Charlie Thornton took it national many, many years ago. In fact, Charlie used to tell people that once his father, who was a member of the Bricklayers Union in New York City, exposed him to what hard work it was to be a bricklayer, he became very motivated to become an engineer. And concern about the shortage of engineers and other professionals in the construction industry was actually how ACE came about. But today, the National Board of ACE is very concerned about the shortage of skilled craft workers in construction. Recent surveys from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show that it represents a major threat to the future growth of the industry. In June of this year, construction employment totaled 6.6 million roughly, and compared to employment increases in other sectors of the economy, construction employment stalled in June after 2 months of decline in April and May. Yet the current 4.6 unemployment rate in construction is at a 16-year low. And at the same time, average hourly earnings for construction workers increased 2.8% to $28 a year. So what do these seemingly contradictory sets of statistics indicate to us? Well, builders have not stopped hiring because of an economic downturn in the construction industry. Rather, hiring has slowed because of a shortage of qualified craft workers. If you take a look at the slide here on the screen, you can see that according to this AGC survey from 2015, 86% of 1,400 builders report they're having trouble filling jobs, which is up from 81% in 2013. And there are several reasons for the shortages, but mainly it's an aging workforce, as well as a result of the big recession we all suffered. A lot of the construction workers honestly just went to other industries, or at least dropped out of this one. Another factor is a shortage of quality training programs in schools and elsewhere to attract young people to skilled crafts. But there are quality training programs, and you're going to hear about some of those today. And as Jack just indicated, some are in the building trade unions and others are in ABC and AGC and trade schools. So the good thing for all of your ACE programs is that very often these programs are looking for good partners to work with and attracting quality students into their apprenticeship programs. And there are plenty of well-paying opportunities in construction these days. With a 2015 survey by FMI shows that 78% of the companies they surveyed, and that's including most of the large contractors in the U.S., expect to increase the level of skilled workers by 10% or more over the next decade. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics has projected a growth of almost 800,000 construction jobs between 2014 and 2024. So what do these trends mean for ACE? The answer is quite simply that ACE could do more to expose students to opportunities in the skilled trades. Now, this doesn't mean turning your ACE program or any of the ACE programs into a skilled trades program. But if you look at this, this is a chart that we used at the International Masonry Institute, where we run a masonry camp program that brings together young architects and young craft workers to experience each other's crafts. If you look at the career path on each one, both have very regimented education and training requirements that they go through pursuing their career path. So basically, and this is for a bricklayer, but you'd have similar paths if you were looking at ironworkers, plumbers, or other building crafts as well. It simply shows that this is another career path opportunity that you could be exposing the ACE Mentor students to. When the Construction Industry Roundtable, who is another one of our partners, commissioned a study of ACE students in 2015, they looked to measure students' interest in learning more about skilled trades and their general knowledge about craft training. The majority of the survey respondents, basically 56%, said they wanted to learn more about the trades. And you're just about to hear some of the excellent examples from a few of our affiliates of what is about how they're exposing their students to the crafts around the country. But here are just some basic tips that I would suggest to you. first of all, feel free, as Jack and Andrew said, my email information is there. If you're interested in me helping you contact building trades unions in your area, I can certainly put you in contact with them. But we also have the ABC and AGC, the Iron Workers Union. They're all a part of our National Board of ACE, and I'm sure they would be glad to put you in contact with people in your area from their organizations. Another basic contact in any area would be an apprentice coordinator or coordinator of a training program. Again, whether it's a building trades union or a trade association. These individuals are very accustomed to going out to career fairs or whatever and doing presentations for students as to what their crafts have to offer. You could also request a hands-on field trip to training centers for your students. I think we may be seeing some of those here in a minute. There could be retirees from the trades who would welcome becoming mentors. That would be another good source for you. And make sure when you do make contact with the various associations or unions that you let them know about the CMs and engineers and architects and others that you have on your board, because that's very valuable to them as a networking opportunity. So with that, I'm going to stop here and turn it over to my colleagues who are going to go through some of these excellent examples of how you can reach out and familiarize your students with trades opportunities. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joan. That was just a wonderful kickoff, and we're so happy and lucky to have someone from the executive committee of the board and also someone in a position in the industry such as yours join us today. So we really appreciate that, and especially appreciate the offer to help any affiliates who want to get more connected to the trades and crafts industry. So thank you very much. So I'm going to turn it over to ACE Atlanta. The original presentation was going to be with Amy Norman, but she went and had a baby just about a week ago. So her colleague from ACE Atlanta, Erin Sibley, is going to be bearing the load of this presentation. So it's all yours, Erin.
Thanks, Andrew. My name's Erin Sibley, and I work for Atlanta Habitat for Humanity. I've been involved with ACE for about 2 years, and I helped Atlanta set up 2 different trades-based programs, as well as getting more involved with the trades on the traditional architecture and engineering focused programs that Atlanta already had. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we utilize trades in both the traditional program and in our trades-based programs. We have a mindset that we want to give every student an opportunity to get hands-on and exposure to trades here in Atlanta, because for an architect or an engineer, giving them a different angle to look at something may make them think of a different way to do jobs. It may expose them to a new aspect of construction, and we're talking about high school age students that are just beginning to discover their passion for construction. So we want to make sure that we grow that passion by giving them all sorts of different access throughout the industry. Because of that, we've started working with the contractors in the area to create field trip opportunities for all sorts of different job sites and for offices and businesses, to expose them to different trade-based things and even engineering and architecture in the field. So the first thing that we do each year is we set up each group with a job site that they get to go out and visit. And the last 2 years, we've used the Atlanta Falcons Stadium and the Cox Communications Towers to show them how construction goes during the build phase. So they get to go out to these sites while building is going on. They get to see trades in progress. They get to see electrical in the field, plumbing, and they get to see all sorts of different things going in, and they get to get excited about the building process. The other thing that we provide for all the teams is we have a partnership with McKinney's Mechanical Contracting, and their offices, they provide a great example of wide spectrum opportunity for all the students. They have a fabrication shop there where they make all the air conditioning parts and all the plumbing parts for stadiums. They also have draftsmen and engineers on site that that work together to create these things that are fabricated in their shops, and then they have a helicopter pilot on site that installs all the HVAC and the skyline around Atlanta. So it's a pretty cool place to go and visit, and the students get to see all different aspects of the trades group, as well as engineering and architecture when they go to McKinney's. Our program that we started last year, North Springs, it's the pilot program for trades teams in Atlanta. And the idea behind North Springs is we wanted to set up a relationship with a job site that the students could visit throughout the ACE rotation, so that they could see how a job progresses from week to week, from month to month, from beginning to end. So this year, the North Springs group was set up with the Sandy Springs City Center in Sandy Springs, Georgia, which they're building a downtown city center. They're building several parking decks, condos, a performing arts center, and several other things. So the students got to see from the beginning, as the earth was being cleared, as the job site was starting to take shape, to at this point they've got the parking decks in, they've got all the concrete and the steel in for the performing arts center, and they're starting on the condos. So the students have seen the beginning part of construction. Next year they will get to go back and see some of the interior finishes there at the city center. This is a multi-year partnership that we have set up. But along with visiting that construction site several times, we were also able to bring in folks from the site, electricians, plumbers, masons, people that did surveying and carpentry, to Sandy Springs to work with them on projects that could be integrated back into the city center. So the students got to design a bench and make the forms and pour the concrete for it to be installed out there at the city center. One other unique opportunity that this group has is an organization called SESCA. It is a group in Georgia that provides a building state championship for high school age students. They get to go and they get to participate in different competitions and build various different projects that are prescribed by the people at SESCA in a competition format, and there's a state champion every single year. So the North Springs group has participated in that for the last 2 years, and they're planning on participating in this year, and we're hoping to expand it to more of our ACE groups. Our last group we have is the ACE Habitat group, which we just started this year. And the setup for this group is we wanted to fit the ACE process into the Atlanta Habitat build process. So we took the students from the design phase, from the phase where they're doing set development design, all the way through the finish of a house. The students got to get hands-on and do a little bit of the design work as well. They got to design the columns and railings and shutters for a house and build those and install them. We also took them out to the site regularly, and they got to work with our framing contractors and our plumbers and electricians and the concrete folks to do work throughout the house project, so that they can point at a house here in Atlanta and say, hey, I got to get hands-on, I got to help build that. So each week the students had a different part of construction that they were focusing on, and we tried to keep it trade-based, but we also tried to work in engineering and architectural principles as well. We made them calculate how much concrete they needed when they were doing masonry. We made them figure out the structural ramifications of building their columns when they did that. So we focused on trades, but we still tried to tie it back into.
So next we're going to be hearing from the trades track program in Central Pennsylvania with Joe Connor and Bob DeFiore. And again, Joe and Bob.
Very good. This is Joseph Connor. I'm with ACE of Central Pennsylvania. Just to give you a quick kind of introduction, I'm actually an architect, but I was introduced to the program by my co-presenter, Bob DeFiore, and I'll allow Bob to give his background later. But I, like many of us, was introduced to the program, initially as a mentor, then gravitated into a presenter, ultimately to a team leader, and then a board representative, but again, all on the professional side. And it was several years into the program that while I knew that we had a skilled track program that I even understood what the skill track program was and started to participate in it. The last several years, I've been kind of the caretaker of the skilled trades program of Dauphin County, which is specifically it's separate track. It is a 16-week program, just like our professional program, and the way it is run concurrently with the professional program. There is a Tuesday professional program, a Thursday skilled program. Again, after school, 4:30 to 6:30. The idea of the program and the way it was formed, I'll allow Bob to explain that, but what we are trying to do by essentially running them concurrently is having an overlap between the two programs to allow both professional students to cross over and attend two skilled trade programs, as well as have the skilled trade students cross over and participate in two professional programs to try to really integrate the idea of the trades and the professions. One of the critical aspects of the program has been the idea that within the last 2 years, we've actually pushed back our enrollment in the program to involve sophomores, to allow sophomores to be exposed at a younger age so that they can effectively, if they are introduced to a trade that they are interested in, to possibly consider affect a change in their own high school curriculum and move to a VOTEC program where they may pick up that same trade program for the balance of their high school education. And at that point, I'd like to introduce Bob so he can kind of speak specifically to the fact that, and I'll just give you a quick idea, ACE of Central Pennsylvania is effectively formed by 4 county programs. So we have a Dauphin County program, a Lancaster County program, a York, and a Cumberland County program. And the Dauphin County program is the program of our 4 kind of groups that has the specific track for skilled trade. So I'll let Bob speak a little bit about that and how it was formed, and I'll interject again later.
If we can go back to the previous slide, that would be my talking point slide. So as Joe mentioned, we did start the Central Pennsylvania affiliate around 12 years ago, and it started out in one county. That's the way our school districts in Pennsylvania are organized. And we grew a county at a time until we actually are today 4 different counties. And as the program grew and we wanted to introduce a trades program, each of the counties that are sub-affiliates wanted to tailor the format or the model of their trades program to work for their sub-affiliate. And so the first, you'll see the models down below. There are 3 different models that I'm going to describe. The key, nope, stay on this slide until I'm finished. Then Joe's the next slide. So the 3 models are on there, but each one developed independently and separately to work with the individual county. The common denominator, though, in all of them is that there needs to be a champion of some sort, and that each one of the models also has a lot of hands-on activities. So you're either laying block, or you're building something out of studs, or you're doing ironwork or work. They all have hands-on activities. The first model was a kind of a joint venture with the VOTEC High School here locally, where we were able to use actually their labs, and a lot of their instructors came in, and the kids were able to do hand-on activities, and it was integral to the professionals track. So the professionals and the VOTEC and the trades programs worked in concert with each other. The second model, which is a different county, there was a champion with a general contractor who has an outstanding shop and training facility, and they have all of the facilities to bring in other contractors. And again, it was a separate track, though, from the professionals track, different than the first model. So you could just do the trades track, or you could just do the professionals track. The third model, which Joe will get into more detail later, that'll show you how we integrated the two, the professionals and the trades. Although they're separate tracks, their schedules overlap, so they have common classes. They go to field trips together, they do certain things together, and they're also, the professionals, part of their track, they're required to take a certain number of the trades classes, And the trades, conversely, are required to take a certain amount of the professionals. So they're constantly overlapping. So they run in parallel. They're on 2 separate days of the week, but they kind of work also together. So those are the 3 different models that we came up with here in the 3 different counties, and they seem to be sustaining. But the third model, the champion were the unions, who were fantastic. Each week the kids would go and visit a different union training facility where they would actually be taught by their people who teach the trades in their apprenticeship programs, and they would build things that with their hands. They would lay block and do welding and assemble iron frames with bolts and build stud walls and do a lot of hands-on activities. So it's continued to sustain itself really well, and I'm going to turn it back over to Joe to focus on the one county, this Model 3, to show you how it works and the schedule. So, Joe, it's yours.
Thank you, Bob. So the next slide basically is just a real quick kind of matrix of what our schedule looks like. And effectively, again, the highlighted areas are the idea, and this goes back a couple years, where we initiate the program and both the professional and the skilled trades on the same night together in the same room. At a minimum, we're expecting that the professional students cross over for 2 sessions, and conversely, the skilled trade cross over for 2 sessions in the professional. We don't limit that. If they want to attend more and they can accommodate them, we certainly allow for that. We've had some students that will literally attend both the Tuesday night and the Thursday evening session. But you can see they were at different, like the Carpenters Training Center. The Carpenters Training Center was able to accommodate a couple different unions at their facility, both an operators union as well as a masonry union participated at that particular facility. We've had steelworkers have been involved, the pipe fitters have been involved, and again, what we also try to do and what we've been working hard to do is try to accommodate the idea that our professional track, the professional skill that they're learning that's Tuesday, for example, let's say that it is a structural engineering presentation, lines up then Thursday with a trip to the ironworkers, so that something that maybe talked about by a professional on Tuesday is kind of reinforced on Thursday in the field, if you kind of understand what I mean by that. And so that's been the model for the last several years. We've had some pluses and some minuses. We've lost some participation and gained other participation. But we've had great success in the sense that we did have one student at this point go through both the skilled and professional program, and then ultimately decided to enter the Steelworkers Union. So if you want to advance to the next couple of slides, you'll see just a couple examples. This is a continuation of the schedule, but again, the different shops where something will be explained to them by this last slide. This Hershey Park carpentry session was one this year where when the Carpenters Union pulled back this year, their participation, Hershey Park and their carpenter shop, Bob, was able to accommodate our students and again, bring them in and meet here. In this case, a lot of kids may not even understand. They might visit the amusement park year after year and never realize that here's an opportunity where if I have expressed interest in carpentry, what a wonderful opportunity to literally work within an amusement park as a carpenter, not just kind of the traditional thought of going out and building houses and buildings. That was a fantastic session this past year, and it kind of, again, was an example of how we've been able to cross that line between both union representation as well as private industry and commercial contractors. Again, like I said, we had one student recently who has gone through, joined the Ironworkers Apprenticeship Program, is 2 years into that apprenticeship program, and we're hoping to see the fruits of his involvement become one where he will ultimately come back to us as a mentor on the skilled trade side. Our professional program has seen several students go through the program from the beginning. We're 9 going into, I think, our 10th year in Dauphin County, so we've had students who have come into our program as a junior and senior on the professional side, gone away to college, have come back now and are working as architects, construction managers, or engineers in the local business community and are now mentoring with us. So we're trying and hoping that evolves again on the skilled trade side as well. I think if you advance to the next slide, I think it's just another example. Again, this was the ironworkers, and this was neat in that we have an ironworker session where they do a virtual 3-dimensional welding, and then if you advance to the next slide, you'll see that when they go to pipe fitters, they actually physically don the helmets and actually do a little bit of welding. So that's the way the process has been for the last several years in Dauphin County. We hope to have it continue that way. And I think at this point, I think our time is probably up. I don't want to step on anyone's toes here. I'd be happy to address any questions anyone would have later about the success of the program and how we've managed it over the course of the last 9 years.
Great. Thank you, Joe and Bob, so much. That was a great presentation. It looks like we did get a couple questions for you, and hopefully we'll have some time for you to address those toward the end of the presentation. But as mentioned, if not, we'll have the opportunity to provide written responses to the questions. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Up next is Mike Tetchy and Matt Barnard from LA and Boston.
So Mike and I will bounce between our events because they're actually a little bit interconnected. Now you can switch to the next slide, which really highlights what we've been doing in the Los Angeles and Orange County areas here in California. What we've been doing, and it's been probably nearly 10 years that we've been doing, is we do single-day events. We do multiple events during the year, and what they are is affiliate-wide ones where all the schools and teams are invited to attend if they can. And most of the teams attend 1, 2, sometimes 3, even 4 events, depending on what works for their schedule. And we do the different events to give different options for people. We do a weeknight one, we do a Saturday one, we do ones in LA, we do ones in Orange County, and we do ones at construction sites, and we do ones at the training centers. All the events have a similar arrangement, and I'll show some pictures in a minute of that. But basically, we rotate students between hands-on stations where they get about anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes of kind of practical experience, just learning about the trade or the craft that they're working on. And the instructor then also makes sure to tell their story of how they got into that skill set, why they love it, and just really general career advice. And it's been a great pattern. We've had some great hosts to it. I'll show some pictures in a sec, but if you can go to the next slide, I think, Mike, you can talk about Boston.
Yeah, so I had heard Matt's presentation that was alluded to back in 2014 at the All Affiliates meeting in Chicago. And when we were looking to start a more hands-on event in Boston, this is what we came down to. And we did it for the first time last December, and it was a big hit. We held it on a Saturday, and one of the things that we did a little bit differently from LA is, it sounds a little bit more like Pennsylvania, is we did it at one of the vocational tech schools. They had a huge warehouse that allowed us to use their space. The teacher showed up on a Saturday, and it really opened up the space. Half the kids were from that school already, so it made it easy for them. The rest was, it was accessible by public transportation, so it was just a great location for us. We held it on a Saturday morning, which was one of the things we were nervous about, because how do you get high school kids to somewhere at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning? But we actually had over 2 dozen kids show up, which we thought was a very positive thing. We offered to all 3 teams in the Greater Boston affiliate. And one thing we also did was we asked a company to donate all the PPE. So hard hats, you can see the picture of the hard hats there. Hard hats, safety glasses, gloves, to the event. At the end of the year, during our fundraiser, we acknowledged them as giving that donation. So we then, because they provided 70 hard hats, we were able to donate half those hard hats back to the school because they actually use hard hats when they're in the shop. So I think we can go to the next slide.
So this is Matt again, and what I was going to highlight is both Boston and the events we do in Los Angeles have multiple stations. I've heard other people talk about where they've got similar experience to different activities, trades and craft activities available. In LA, we first started with doing an event at the Carpenters, and we have since expanded to the Electricians, where they do 6 stations that relate to the electrical activities like bending conduit, wiring a circuit, to ABC, who's been a great partner with us, where they also do circuits, but they do piping, give actually a toilet demonstration where you can see how toilets work with clear piping. You know, we do those things. And then we do, on the construction sites, other hands-on activities such as bending rebar. We've actually poured concrete and the kids have finished it. You can actually see in the picture there that's shown the ductwork that the students put together, and we had smoke that ran through the ductwork, and they could see how a smoke damper worked. You can see a picture there where they're also building a masonry wall that they grouted. The pictures that are shown, those were done on the middle of the job site with the subcontractors that were working on that job site, and they also donated the hard hats and the personal protection, the gloves and safety glasses. We provided the vest so that we could get some good photos. If you go to the next slide, you can also see a couple of the other activities there on the left. So we really got a wide range, and it ranges from 4 to 10 activities, just depending on what that event can occur. Being a structural guy, I had to make sure we got rebar in at one point. But the other thing that we've done is, if you look in that lower right-hand corner, we have brought in vendors to help complement some of our stations. So Simpson, Strong Tie, as well as Hilti have been helpful in providing tools and materials and a station at some of these events so that the kids got hands-on activities of using drills and you know, all of those type of elements. It was really kind of a neat way to touch all these different spots. By having so many different events over the course of the year, we really give almost every craft or trade an opportunity to highlight something that they do. Good for the architects, the engineers, and those who are going to be entering construction. Mike, you want to take the next one?
Yep. So we had Matt's cheat sheet almost, because he had given a list of the different events that he's going to put up as part from the All Affiliates conference. That we started with that list and started paring down what could we actually do in Boston. And so what we did, we built a stud wall, we hung some doors, we built a brick wall. We also engaged some of the contractors to show the students how to serve it. But one thing that we really thought would make it real for the students, because was to actually start with safety training and do it with an actual safety officer from one of the contractors. So we started our day off once everybody arrived, and we took 5 minutes and talked with everybody about safety. So they didn't think that this was just, a sort of field trip that they can come and go as they please, but it was a certain realism to a construction site that this was real and things would be dangerous. One of the young women actually hammered her thumb as she was building the stud wall. So, she did not want to swing her hammer after that for the rest of the event, but we were able to really provide a realism that way to them. And I think that's it for this slide for me.
Perfect. And so if you go to the last one, I just want to highlight how much we've been able to engage of different entities who support the ACE mission in the Los Angeles and Orange County area. And you can kind of see who the things are there. And I'm not even listing the subcontractor partners because that would be another few pages to go. But it is really important to see how we've touched all these different groups by providing this single event that everybody's been able to kind of consolidate around and basically use a kind of a volume-based approach. Get as many students together so that the subcontractor sets up one event one time and is able to get as many touches. We found it successful. And I really do want to thank every entity that is listed here, especially the Carpenters who did the first one, ETI, who's done our hosting, and ABC, who's been there multiple years when we actually were struggling to find a location. They stepped up, so thanks to them. And a lot of thanks to the general contractors. They've been key because they're the ones who help wrangle in the subcontractors for us. Hensel Phelps, Clark, Hathaway, Dinwiddie, and Turner have all hosted events and had their subcontracting partners contribute to this. And Mike, you want to finish it up?
Yep. We had a similar experience with the trades, the general contractors, and other partners like the school and Colony Tools who donated all the PPE. It's really amazing how it comes together with all these different moving parts. It was great because the two leaders of the actual event were Contigli. One was from Contigli and one was from Skanska. and they work together really well hand in hand. And just seeing the bricklayers out there and talking about how much fun they had that day, it was great to see. And without our partners at Madison Park Vocational High School, this event would not have come off at all. So we really have a big thanks out to them. And I believe that's it. We'll hand it back to Andrew for the next segment.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt and Mike. Great presentation. I can say that I've been to the Trades Day in LA a few times at a few different locations, and it really is a wonderful event. The students are so engaged. They love the hands-on stuff, which I'm hearing is definitely a common theme among all of the models here, is the opportunity for students to, hold in their hands the tools of the industry and lay down brick walls and fit pipes together. Just a great way to expose young people. And I also like to give a shout out. I know Doug Sawyer from ABC, who is Matt's contact in LA at the Anaheim ABC facility. I know he's calling in today. He's on mute, like most of you, but we want to thank you for calling in, and we really appreciate your support in LA for what you've done for Trades Day. So we have just about enough time for Matt Snope from Chicago to give his presentation on the summer program, the Design Build program that they do in Chicago every summer. So without further ado, Matt.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. So hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm missing my theme music, though, so cue that. Pennsylvania had an awesome presentation there. How about our slides? Do you have? It's really great hearing about all of these other programs across the country. It's super exciting for me to listen as well as present here about Chicago's program. Our program has a little less of a singular focus, maybe on the building trades than some of these others, but it's a broad program. It has many goals, and that includes a great deal of exposure to craftsmen and the building trades. The program was launched 7 years ago, I believe, in 2010 was our first year, and the intention is to provide the students with a summer hands-on building experience. So we build upon our after-school program, which is the bulk of the ACE program here in Chicago, which serves about 200 students. And we invite a percentage of those students who are interested in continuing with ACE over the summer to participate in this design build program. The goals are to expand upon ACE's broad mission to excite students about careers in the ACE fields. And then also give them an opportunity to go through a design process with a tangible project and a community partner or client, as we call them. So this group of students will meet with a client and be introduced to a need that client has, and they'll work on a project with them over the summer. So they get the opportunity not only to design but also to build it. And our goals for the program also are to encourage the students to be inquisitive in the design process, creative, and responsible in working as a team. So that's kind of our mission with the program. I'll give you our stats. We enroll up to 20 students every year. And additionally, we hire 3 college students who are alumni of the ACE program. I say hire, but actually all the students who are participating in the program receive scholarships. So, and I'll go into that a little bit more at the end. So we have 20 students who are coming from all around the city, and they come from very different backgrounds. They've generally all been through the ACE program. If you could hold on that first slide for just a minute, and then we'll go back through the others. Jack, if you could go, yeah, there you go. Okay, so the 20 students have generally all been through the ACE after school program, and they apply to be a part of the summer program, and they're selected through recommendations from their mentors, and their interest in their application. We utilize the ACE National Scholarship process to select the students for the summer. Again, if you don't mind going back for just a minute, I'm going to dwell on that slide just because it's got my bullet points there. So there's one project that the students work on. We run the design portion of the studio through or at Curie Metro High School, so that's one of our Chicago Public School partners in ACE. The students meet daily, Monday to Friday, for 4 hours a day. So it's there's a lot of hours. It's an intense program for them, and the students put a lot of time and effort into it. The program is run with one ACE mentor there every day. We actually rotate. It's not the same person every day. And we're lucky enough to have somebody from Curie High School as the carpentry instructor, is a supervisor for our class as well, because we work out of the wood shop. And then we incorporate a lot of other professionals and a lot of other trades through guest lectures and field trips. And then, and I say construction support, because then when the students are actually building their project, we get as many professionals and craftsmen involved as we can. The program, just to talk about funding for a minute, it's a robust program, and I would say it's a fairly large budget. It's not an easy thing to pull off, but we do it through our funding partners for ACE Chicago, who provide the scholarships to the students, Chicago Public Schools, who provides the facilities and the supervisor. We have a program sponsor who has varied this year. It's a grant through the Cognizant Foundation, and they provided us a grant for a maker program. And I do have a slide that shows the budget at the end, so we'll talk more about that. So these next slides here, no, I'm sorry, you can go back more slowly through those. So this just shows some images of the projects that the students have done to give you an idea of what they do. We've worked with various clients. This year we're working with a neighborhood developer. Last year we worked with a primary school, and we've worked with the Chicago Park District. The slide that's on the screen now was with the Park District. So students work with them from the beginning and identify what it is that they're going to build in the park. In this case, it was some playground equipment in 2012, and in 2014. And in 2013, they did some park benches and some game tables in the park. And go to the next slide. You can go to the next one there. We worked with a community garden organization. We worked with the Chicago Department of Transportation. And go ahead. And I'll talk just a minute about the images on the right. That was actually a project of the American Society of Landscape Architects, and it was their legacy project that they did in 2009, which kind of gave us the idea for running the summer design build. They had invited our students to participate in a design charrette. So the ACE students kind of came up with a lot of the cool ideas, but then the project was built out by others. It was built out by volunteers through the ASLA and volunteers from this particular high school where they were working. So we said, hey, why can't our students participate in the build too? I think they would get a lot out of it. So, and they really have. If you go to the next slide, this is, I know there's a lot of words on the screen. This is our kind of working schedule for the summer. So this happens to be for this year. We're in the midst of our program right now. But just to give you an idea of how it runs, we kick off the summer 7.5, 8-week program with a big design charrette. So we introduce who our community partner is, in this case was the community developer in the west side of Chicago. And then we run several weeks through a design process where we invite guests to come in. So a structural engineer who owns his own practice in Hawaii and just so happened to go to Curie High School where we run our program. He comes in and talks to the students. We have an architect whose focus is in model making, come in to talk to the students about 3D printing. And we have some of the other architects that run the course that are the daily instructor. They give lectures on other things, including design, sketching, drawing, construction documents. Then as we advance into the program, we bring in, on the construction side, we start to bring in a construction manager who talks to us about the student's project and tries to help them with developing a schedule and a budget. So it's all very real, which is great, and they can sneak in all their kind of key points about what it is they do every day and what a construction manager is responsible for, but they do it in the context of supporting the student project. So then further along, which is right about now in the beginning of August, our students they really have an idea of the project that they're going to build, and we start to get the partners in that help us build it. My students just last week, they went to a metal fabrication shop because their project involves the bending of aluminum tubes. So they went to Chicago Rolled Metal Products, where they actually met with a former ACE student, who's one of our alumni, who now works as an engineer for that fabricator. And they're doing work on the project, and they also showed them around. They showed them around the shop and kind of talked to them about what they do. We'll have a talk this coming week about site safety, when the students actually start working on their project on site. We have Thursday and Friday, we have a concrete contractor who's coming in to help the students build formwork for some small concrete retaining walls that they're building as part of this year's program. And so Hugh Henry is providing that support for us this year, which is fantastic. And I apologize that I don't have any photos of it yet because it hasn't happened, but it's kind of typical for the program that we get a contractor to come in at the end and really work with the students directly, show them the right way to build something. If I may have skipped it at the beginning, but I'm an architect and I'm not a professional builder, so we appreciate having people come in and teach the students and show them, how it works, and at the same time gives them some insight into what all of those professionals and craftsmen, what they do, right? So that's what we want to do in ACE, is give them career exposure, and our program tries to give them a very broad background in all the different careers that are related to the ACE fields. So the last slide, I'm sure I'm running out of time here. The last slide just shows the budget for the program, just to kind of give everybody a sense of what it does take to pull it off. ACE Chicago and all of our donors and supporters provide about $30,000 in scholarships annually for the program. CPS donates the facilities, and they provide CTA train cards for our students. And the instructors who are there daily receive a small stipend, and then the program expenses, which this year were through a $20,000 foundation grant. And then our partner also typically contributes something to the project in terms of actual materials that need to be purchased. So our partner this year is the Foundation for Home and Square, which is a neighborhood developer on the west side, and they're a great partner for the students to work with. So not sure if I missed anything, but that wraps up what I wanted to present, an overview of our program.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Great images. Really cool, exciting projects that you guys are doing there in Chicago. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'd like to thank all the presenters today. Thank everyone for bearing with our technical difficulties. This was the first big webinar we did, so they will certainly improve technically in the future. But I really thought that this was just a wonderful best practice sharing exercise. I hope that all of you who called in got inspired, got some good ideas. As mentioned earlier, we're making all the presenters' contact information available here. We will go ahead and leave this screen up for a little while. Likewise, if you have any questions that you had stored up, unfortunately, we're not going to get time to get to them today. We like to keep this within the hour, but the chat function is still open. So if you do have any questions you'd like to log in, we can make sure that the appropriate presenter gets the question and provides a written response. Again, we'll make those available to everyone on the ACE website in the near future, along with a recording of this webinar, as well as a condensed version of the PowerPoint presentation in case you want to look through any of the presentations again to get more ideas. But other than that, thank you again, everyone, for calling in. This has been great, and we hope to hear you and see you on a future ACE webinar. So thanks for calling in, and we'll leave this screen up if anybody wants to get the information or ask any questions in the chat. So thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.